Hello, everybody. Vasu Vaddiparty, Charlie O here for the Make the Money and Run podcast for July 2nd, 2021, ahead of a 4th of July weekend with lots of baseball action. Where were we last year at this time? We were not anywhere. I know. Hi, Charlie. How are you? Welcome to the Make the Money and Run podcast powered by Stables Media. Thanks to everybody on Facebook Live and on YouTube Live as well. Don't forget to join us every Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays. You see the times right there. 3 o'clock on Monday. In fact, we will have a show on Monday. There are no games that start until 6 o'clock on Monday night, so I'll have a show for you. Maybe Charlie will join us on a holiday after he gets his ears clean from fireworks. Thursday at noon Eastern, and then Friday at 1 Eastern, Facebook and YouTube. If you miss any of it, download, subscribe, rate, and review anywhere you get your podcast. Just find the logo up there in the top right, and you can find the podcast anywhere you get your podcasts on any podcasting outlet, Apple, Spotify, iHeart, Google, and SoundCloud as well are some of the best ones to go to. All right, Charlie, let's start off with the NBA last night. Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals. The Milwaukee Bucks take out the Atlanta Hawks 123-112. The game was decided in the first quarter. We'll show you how in a couple of seconds, but the game went off the board after about 6 o'clock Eastern. Milwaukee was favored by 2.5. No Trae Young, no Giannis Antetokumpo. The game still covers for Milwaukee 2.5. I got it in before the game went off the board, so I covered. It was an easy cover for the most part. And then the points that were being scored, no rim protection. Capella was a non-factor in the game. 213 is the over, and it went off later in the day, as we said. So the over comes through. Milwaukee 2.5. Saturday's game at 8:30 on TNT could be a clincher for Milwaukee. Milwaukee is a 2-point underdog at Atlanta. Not sure about Giannis' state. Not sure about Trae Young's state of mind, not state of mind, but state of activity as far as play goes. But the odds makers think Atlanta's a 2-point favorite going into Game 6, and they're thinking that they may be a Game 7 on Monday, which means more Marv Albert. By the way, Marv Albert having a great series for his last series. 3-2, Milwaukee. Charlie, what were your takes on that game last night watching it?
Well, there were several takes I had. If you remember yesterday, Vasu, one of the things I said is that I was reserving myself as far as wagering on this game until I knew who was playing and who wasn't. As soon as I found out that Giannis was out, that Trae was out, I was out. I didn't get involved in this game because everything about it when those guys were out said to me that this game was going to go crazy. It indeed went crazy. Obviously, the 123-112 score made the spread bigger than anybody thought. It went over, which I would have gone under had those guys been in. So everything about that game went upside down. So I'm glad that I sat on the sidelines on it. Which was my recommendation if those guys were out, by the way, if I can just go back and remind you what the recommendation was on that. But it was all about that first quarter. And a lot about the NBA is establishing big leads early. Because if you can get big leads early in the NBA and force the other team to play in a catch-up mode, they might even come in and tie you at some point in a game. But the other team will expend so much energy trying to get back into a game that when it comes to the fourth quarter in the end of the game, they're so tired that they can't beat you. And I think that was a classic case. And then, of course, in last night's game, it was a wire-to-wire leading victory for Milwaukee. And that makes it even worse. Because that just demoralizes the other team because you never even get that 2-point lead. So it was a brilliant game by a wounded Bucks team, if you will. And so last night was truly a night to fear the deer because they came out without their number one guy and played a great game.
No doubt about it. And the fact that they get the 11-point victory, they were up by 14 at the end of the first. And here's the difference. The first quarter, they were up 36-22 in the first quarter. And look at these numbers, Charlie. Game 5 decided in the first. Atlanta only 6 of 22 from the field, 2 of 9 from three-point field goal range. The biggest deficit was 18 points down, 28-10 at one point. Milwaukee, on the other hand, 16 of 28 from the field. They only shot 2 of 9 from threes, but they already had a big lead. And how about Brook Lopez? Brook Lopez had 12 first-quarter points. He ended up with he ended up with the entire final game here, all periods. As I look through it, he ended up with 33 points. Middleton had 26, Drew Holiday had 25, and Bobby Portis had 22 in Giannis's absence. PJ Tucker had 11 rebounds. Middleton had 13 rebounds and 8 assists. Brook Lopez had 7 rebounds. But the fact that he was 14 of 18 from the field, 5 of 5 in the first quarter, and then Middleton 10 of 20 from the field. Obviously, the better Chris Middleton came out last night and played well. And they're going to have to get another game from him in terms of having to come out, because it's not going to be easy to win in Atlanta. They won in Atlanta without Trae Young in Game 4, and Milwaukee was pretty much had a stacked deck, and they could have easily taken that game. The game was off the board the other day as well too. Actually, it went up to like 5 or 6 at the end of the betting lines before it did come off the board once it was found out that Trae Young was not going to play. So what are we looking at for Game 6 here, Charlie, as far as Atlanta and Milwaukee's viewpoints?
Well, if Giannis is out and Trae is out, and there's a strong possibility that's going to be the case. Everyone that was talking on the broadcast last night, as I was listening particularly to Brett Berry, who's pretty well connected on the inside to things. He thinks they're both very, very iffy. He thinks very iffy for the rest of the season, even if they continue. What Milwaukee needs to do is more of the same of what they did last night. One of the things that Jerry Reynolds, who was the analyst for the Kings TV for years and was also their coach and general manager for a number of years, taught me to look at was always to look at the assist to turnover ratio. And last night, the Bucks, 28 assists. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You heard me. 28 assists, 8 turnovers. Your goal is to be 2-1. They were over 3-1. That is outstanding basketball. And if they can play that kind of ball, they're going to win, because one of the things that kind of assist ratio means is they were moving the ball. They weren't just coming up, taking first shot, and then, hey, let's try it again. And when you get those kind of assists and you're moving the ball, you're looking for the right shot, you're making things go, and then you're protecting the ball, that means that you're playing winning basketball. And so that's the kind of thing they need to do. And then, of course, they need games that will the kind of games that they got from Lopez, the kind of games they got from Middleton. Those are the kind of things that they need in order to win. Now, that's the good news, because that will probably carry them against Atlanta. Projecting. If they have to then move on and go against the Suns, but that's a whole nother story. But I think that they probably, if they play the way they played last night, they can move into the finals.
Well, the Atlanta Hawks are going to definitely have to have all cylinders working. 6 of 22 from the field, as we said, 2 of 9 from 3. To Charlie's point, 2 assists to 5 turnovers in the first quarter. Overall, they had 14 turnovers to 24 assists. So that's not even 2-1. And they did turn the ball over a lot in the game itself, that they were able to get some points out of. Kevin Huerter, only 3 of 12 from the field. Bogdanovich had a pretty good game, 10 of 22, 7 of 16 from 3. He had 28 points, but there was really nobody else on the bench, at least on the bench. I didn't see very many points on the bench here. Gallinari had 19, but he was the only guy off the bench that they had. 22 for Portis, 26 for Middleton, 25 for Drew Holiday, who only shot 9 of 20, 33 for Lopez. As we said, their bench did not come up with a lot either. Connaughton had 9, and Bryn Forbes had 3. He made 1 3-pointer in the game. So maybe they don't need their bench here. Milwaukee doesn't, but they're definitely going to have their other guys step up in Game 6 on the road, Charlie. But Kevin Huerter, no points in the first quarter. John Collins, 0 for 7 in the first quarter. Lots of things going on with the Atlanta Hawks right now and their decision what to do with Trae Young. I don't think the organization will mortgage Trae Young's future for a Game 6, because they probably went further along than they probably even thought they were. In fact, a lot of people didn't even think they were going to make it past the Knicks, let alone get past their next round to begin with. And here's the Bucks on the verge of getting to the NBA Finals for 3 years in a row. I'm not sure if Giannis is going to play. They have the advantage, so they have the opportunity and the ability to maybe sit him out one more game and give him 3 more days of rest before a potential Game 7 if they don't win on Saturday night, Charlie.
Yeah, I agree with you about the Hawks and Trae Young. He's too young. Here we go. He's too young. He's too young and too valuable to the future. And you're absolutely right. I mean, when you think about the Hawks, Nate McMillan is still the interim head coach. Okay, so no, they weren't supposed to be anywhere close to being here. So no, they're not going to take a chance with him, and nor should they. The people of Atlanta are thrilled, and this is not the last time they're going to be there. They're going to build and add to that franchise because now they have a glimpse of what they have. So they're not going to take a chance with him. On the other side of the ball, with Giannis, I don't think they're going to take a chance with him. Again, back to Brent Barry, he said that he is concerned on whether Giannis is going to be able to go the rest of the season. These soft tissue issues, you hear that, you go, oh, soft tissue. Well, that can't be too bad. Well, no, they're really bad. Because
it's soft.
They don't heal quickly. And I've heard guys say they'd rather have a broken bone than soft tissue.
No doubt.
Because they don't heal as quickly. And we've seen a lot of those soft tissue injuries coming down through the playoffs. And I've heard a lot of analysts say the reason we're seeing them is because of this whole compacted schedule that we had from the bubble into this season, the compacted 72 games. And one of the analysts said, and we're going to see it again next season because we still are going to have compacted seasons, even though we're going to have a full regular season next year. They're going to be into next season sooner than what we'd like. And some of these guys are going to be in the Olympic Games and all of those kinds of things. So we're still going to see a wave of this next year. So will Giannis be back? I don't know. I hope so. I really hope so. Because I think a healthy Bucks team with against Phoenix would be entertaining. But I don't think either team is going to take a chance with those guys.
I'd like to see who guards DeAndre Ayton in the middle there because their rim protection is a little soft right now with Brook Lopez being there. Giannis covering Ayton maybe in the middle too, or getting out on one of the forwards with Crowder and Miles Bridges, Mikal Bridges out there to be able to guard them. It'll be an interesting series if in fact it is Milwaukee that goes on. Let's move on to Vasu Vaddiparty, Charlie O here, Make the Money and Run every Monday, Thursday, and Friday. Say hi to David Andrews. David Andrews with the comments out there. Appreciate the nice comments. We will pass along hellos to Casey as well, too, for you, David. Thanks for all the nice words and support, not only for us, but also for Stables Media, as we are powered by Stables Media. All right, we talked to Milwaukee Bucks. We talked to Atlanta Hawks. Let's talk a little Phoenix Suns now. 2 days after they clinched the Western Conference Finals, they're kind of resting up right now. Chris Paul's shoulder looked pretty good the other night with 41 points. Their offense really clicked it in gear. They did blow out the Clippers. The Clippers were shorthanded. No Kawhi Leonard. Eventually, that was going to come back and haunt them. Patrick Beverley made a nuisance of himself. In fact, got kicked out. He apologized today. It came out today. And then Chris Paul's masterful performance on Wednesday night kind of led the Suns, kind of helped Booker through his struggles with the broken nose and his inability to shoot while wearing the mask. But the last game, he had 26 points, and a lot of those were key baskets in the third and fourth quarter when they started to widen the lead against the Clippers. So let's take the Clippers' viewpoint here. Steve Ballmer and them, as they said last night on TNT, they're gone fishing now. They're on the boat out there. They're on the boat out there trying to catch fish. Kawhi sitting on the dock right there away from his teammates, similar to what he did sitting up in the suite compared to being on the bench with his teammates down there. Are they dysfunctional, Charlie, right now? Because the Clippers were expected to go to the finals. The Lakers were not in it. Nobody expected Phoenix to get out. They knocked out both LA teams to get here. Let's give Phoenix all the credit in the world, but let's talk about the Clippers here for a second.
Well, number one, no, I don't think the Clippers are dysfunctional. I think the Clippers are a team that needs more depth because you've got Kawhi, who is injury prone. And that is
not a player option.
And on a player option. Now, remember, folks, everybody goes, oh, player options, he's going to go away. Not necessarily, because there's two things there. One is he can make more money staying with the Clippers right off the top. First of all, he can get a year longer contract, and it's more money because they can sign him under bird rights. We're not going to go into all that today. We'll do that for a later day when we don't have anything to talk about later in August or something, when things are a little dead. But he can get more money. However, if he picks up his player option, which is not bad, I think it's $36 or $37 million. Oh, I'd hate to, I wouldn't play for that minuscule money. But if he picks that up, then next year, when he goes to sign, and he could again sign back with the Clippers or with anybody else, the amount of money that he can sign for, instead of about $172 million contract, balloons in to like $232 million, $235 million.
Right, so with that extra year, right.
Yeah, so it really is in his best interest to go ahead and pick up that player option and then play into the next year. So I'm not really expecting Kawhi to leave the Clippers this season, because financially it's in his best interest to stay and then make his move next year. And let's face it, for these guys, I mean, what is he, 32, 33, I think?
I don't even think he's that old. I think he's 29 or 30.
Okay, well, whatever he is. But I mean, hey, it's a business for these guys too. I mean, they love to play basketball, but let's face the facts. These are pros, and it's about the money. And so it financially is in his best interest to stay with the Clippers and then make that move this next year. If I was his agent, that's what I would say. Dude, stay and make the money. Gosh, I sound like Jerry Maguire. I mean,
like the name of our show.
Yes, exactly. So but in all seriousness, I really do think that Kawhi will stay and then make that move for all of the dollars the following year. But no, I don't think they're dysfunctional. I just think that the injuries hit them. That's going to happen to a lot of teams. I don't think Kawhi, I hear people say, well, Kawhi's a baby. He doesn't play tough, blah, blah. Oh, stop it. You don't know what the guy's about. And when the guy plays, he's awesome. And if you don't think that Kawhi didn't want to be out there and help his team win, of course he did.
Yeah, you don't know pro athletes.
Yeah, I mean, there is.
They don't want to sit on the sideline.
Sure, they're about the money, but they're also about pride.
Absolutely, because we've been their peers.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And that's okay. No, I was starting to rant there, and they're not dysfunctional. And Ty Lue proved himself to be a brilliant coach this year. I mean, if you had any doubts whether Ty Lue could coach without having LeBron there, well, okay, now he can. And Steve Ballmer will spend some money. He'll get the players they need. They need. And the other thing, Vasu, and this is digging down into the business end of it a little bit, but again, this is make the money and run. And it's all about knowing what's going on behind the scenes, so you know what's going to happen on the court. But they have a big payday coming for themselves just a couple of seasons down the line, because right now they are the third tenant at Staples Center. They don't make much money from that arena. And they were about to get their own arena right out by the SoFi Stadium where the Rams play, which is about to become the next big entertainment center in LA. And they're going to have their own arena where they're going to make all the money from the luxury boxes. They're going to make all the money from the courtside seats, and they're going to make money from concerts and, conventions and everything else. And they are, like Steve Ballmer already, with how many ever billions he has, they're going to have even more money to burn. So Ballmer's going to look at him and go, luxury what? I don't care.
I don't care.
And so they're going to continue to be a force. So the Clippers aren't going away.
How about the fact that Kawhi Leonard's going to get $36 million? To me, that's a bargain considering what they're going to pay Ben Simmons in Philadelphia, considering what the issues are for Ben Simmons, who, by the way, is not going to play in the Olympics for Australia. He's going to work on his game this summer, which I'm sure makes the Philadelphia 76ers very happy that he's going to stay in town and work with a psychologist or a shooting coach or whatever he needs, because this would be the Philadelphia 76ers going into the NBA Finals. If Ben Simmons had taken more than 4 shots in Game 7, I will go to my grave saying that from this day forward all the way on, that you cannot win with one guy in the NBA. They tried with Joel Embiid. Ben Simmons didn't take the shot. Seth Curry is not prime time yet. And Tobias Harris has been in the league a long time, but you don't consider him a superstar on a superstar type level. By the way, to finish up on the Clippers before we hit the Suns for a couple of minutes here, when Rajon Rondo got eliminated the other night, I don't know if you saw this, but this is that ends a streak of 37 straight seasons where an ex-teammate of Shaquille O'Neal's has made the NBA Finals. How about that? What? How about that little nugget for you there, right there? 37 straight years for Shaquille O'Neal's teammate of Shaquille O'Neal to reach the NBA Final. Former, current, whatever. Yeah, that's mad. That's 37 years, and I'm 53, so that goes all the way back to 37, 2020, 1983 for me in terms of what that means. But 37 years with an ex-teammate of Shaq to reach the NBA Finals, and that streak is over with Rajon Rondo being eliminated with the Clippers on Wednesday night. All right, let's talk about the Phoenix Suns here before we go to break here a little bit. Phoenix Suns, 4 days off. They've got Chris Paul, the shoulder, Booker trying to get his shooting touch back a little bit, either with or without the mask. And DeAndre Ayton's been really, other than Chris Paul's night the other night, DeAndre Ayton's been the best player on the court. Of course, Booker had his 40 in Game 1, and from a shooting standpoint, he's done everything that he can. But all around, from the defensive standpoint, the rebounding standpoint, and also taking good shots, and really who's ever worked with him in Phoenix on his footwork is impeccable right now, because DeAndre Ayton is looking like he's going to be an all-star for the next 10 to 15 years with that nucleus of the Phoenix Suns and the young guys that they have there. Chris Paul's not going to be there forever. Cameron Payne looks like he's a very viable point guard. And Devin Booker, I know we're going past the finals here for the future, but this is not a one-and-done team for Phoenix right now. I think they're very much in the mix in the Western Conference going forward after 2021, 2022.
Yeah, absolutely, Vasu. And one of the things that's so amazing, and of course, a lot of this has to do with Chris Paul, but still, they have made the turnaround so quickly. We knew Booker was great. And I think everybody that watches basketball was frustrated for him because, frankly, I really thought for his career to blossom, he was going to have to get out of the Valley. I really did, because they just weren't doing anything around him to help him. And I thought, man, for this kid, I felt like he was in purgatory. I really did. I just said, they got to get that kid out of there so he can shine, because people didn't know what a player he was. And Ayton looked as bad as Marvin Bagley the third did, who was the number 2 pick in his draft, and is with the Sacramento Kings. They both looked like big time top draft pick bust. And I can't think of the guy's name, but they brought in an assistant coach last offseason just to work with Ayton. And this guy, he is like the miracle worker, because Ayton is not the same player that we saw over those first 3 seasons. Not in the very least. And now we can look at him and go, okay, now we know why the Suns drafted him number 1. I remember talking with a writer from the Arizona Republic about Ayton and whether or not he should be a number 1 pick. And he kept telling me, he said, look, this kid has got all the potential to do it right in the NBA. And then I kept watching him play, and I'm going, I'm never calling that guy again, because he doesn't know squat about what he's talking about. And now I will call him again. It's really amazing to see the turnaround for him. And it really is about supporting cast that has stepped up as well. But Booker, what a tough guy. Doris Burke the other night on the ESPN radio broadcast did a word visual description of Booker's nose after he got hit that in that game and went down, just describing what his nose looked like. And folks, if you don't think that guy isn't a tough man who plays the game of basketball hurt, you're nuts. I mean, it's green and blue, and I mean this poor kid's going to have plastic surgery after the season, because he's out there playing, with. And if you've ever broken your nose, which I had never done, well, I know you have, but I had never done it until last year. I don't even going to tell you how I did it because it's embarrassing, but my nose still hurts. It still hurts. And it's one of the most painful things you can do. And for him to be out there and getting beat up underneath the bucket, playing that way without that mask on, amazing.
So how do we look at this? So let's look at the I want to look back at Wednesday real quick because we talked about Phoenix, Atlanta, and Milwaukee. I think Phoenix still has the best defense left. So I'm looking at it right now. This is 63% shooting in the first quarter to 50% for the Clippers on Wednesday. 33-29, they outscore them. The second and third quarters were kind of nondescript. It was a close game. Here's where the difference is, and they closed out. You want to talk about Mariano Rivera type closeout numbers. They shoot 14 of 22 in the fourth. They get 15 rebounds. They get 3 assists. They have 3 turnovers, so that's not very good, but they get 15 rebounds to the Clippers 6. They hold the Clippers to 7 of 19, 36% shooting, 36.8% shooting, and 3 of 11 from 3, whereas the Phoenix Suns go 3 of 7 for 43%. And they get 15 rebounds to the Clippers, 6 rebounds, and they outscore them 33-20 in the fourth quarter. They are closers, Charlie. And the fact that they're closers, I think bodes well for them coming down the stretch because you've got a great decision maker in Chris Paul. And there's still a little question about the decision making in Milwaukee and in Atlanta when it comes to fourth quarter outputs because of the way the styles that they play. It's not just the styles they play, but it's also by the fact that the decision making is very important when it comes to this time of year for the playoffs. So talk about how important that fourth quarter stand was against the Clippers because they buried them in the fourth quarter, 37% shooting to 63% shooting for Phoenix.
Well, let me use an analogy from another sport. It's like being a boxer in a fight that nobody's gone down in, and you're in the final round and you're in the last minute of the round. Okay. You can't stop. You've got to just keep going with the flurry, and you've got to say, this is it. I've just got to keep pounding. Now I've got nothing to lose. I'm just going to keep going. Well, that's what they did. They just said, okay, this is it. We've got to put them away. And that you got to go for the knockout punch. And that's what they did. You just keep going. You keep doing all the. I mean, you listen to those numbers. Rebounding. Okay, you get rebounds. You're setting up shots. Do you happen to know how many of those rebounds were offensive rebounds? Did it break that out for you?
In the fourth quarter, yeah. There were 4 of the 15 rebounds.
Okay,
4 of the 15 rebounds were offensive, and the Clippers. That's 2/3 of what the Clippers' total rebounds were.
See, and you're setting up second chance points. Second chance points. That is another key in the NBA. Whenever you look at a win in the NBA, if you're looking at stats, folks, and you're breaking it down, look how a team does on second chance points. It's really, really key. Fast break points, but second chance points. And if you're getting good rebounds, guess what that does? That sets up fast break points. So it's all those things that are working together that make things happen. And again, good fourth quarter performance means a team is in shape, they're healthy, all those kind of things that you need to persevere. And that tells me they're in good shape to go into the finals.
Not only that, Phoenix has second chance opportunities, and you throw it out to a guy like Booker or Crowder or Mikal Bridges, and they're knocking down threes, and you can see that evidenced in the fourth quarter on Wednesday. All right, we broke down the NBA. Game 6 tomorrow night for the Milwaukee Bucks, Atlanta Hawks. Whether Milwaukee goes on to the finals with a win tomorrow night or they'll have Game 7 on Monday night back in Milwaukee, we'll see. But right now it'll be interesting to see. And I know Phoenix is laying back, waiting for hopefully a game 7 and the game to go 4 overtime. So they'll be ready to go on Wednesday night when the NBA Finals open. That's going to do it for us for this segment for the NBA. We'll be back in 30 seconds with a lot of baseball talk as we wrap up the week and preview the 4th of July weekend slate of games for Major League Baseball as well. Back in 30, this is the Make the Money and Run podcast for July 2nd, 2021. Vasu, Vaddiparty, Charlie O here. Hope you have a good weekend for July 4th this coming weekend. Back in 30. Welcome back. First half of the show done. Second half coming up. A lot of baseball to talk about as we get to the July 4th weekend. I think this is pretty much where everybody realizes and starts to think about baseball from the second half. Vasu, Vaddiparty, Charlie O here. Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays, we're here on Facebook Live and YouTube. 3 o'clock on Mondays, 12 o'clock on Thursdays, and 10 o'clock Pacific time on Fridays, where we're at now, Facebook and YouTube Live. Thanks to everybody. And then if you miss it, including our pick segment, which we're going to have for the weekend as well, too. Coming up at the end of the show, you can also download, subscribe, rate, and review anywhere you get your podcast. Just find the Make the Money and Run podcast logo, and you can get your podcast subscribed, rate, and review. Send us emails, mtmarpodcast@gmail.com. Any games, any teams, anything you want to talk about wagering-wise or just sports-wise, we're here for that. And then on Twitter at mtmarpodcast as well. All right, Charlie, we talked NBA basketball. Let's move on to the NHL for a second. We'll get to the NHL in a second. Let's hit the National League is what I meant to say. Let's hit the National League right now. These are the lines for today, some baseball notes. We'll just go through the lines real quick, and then we'll get the baseball notes. Philadelphia, San Diego should be an interesting series this weekend. Both teams in second and third place in the division. Actually, Philadelphia has slipped down to fourth place now in the National League East. They've had a really rough run here. They've fallen behind the red-hot Washington Nationals, who lost yesterday to the Dodgers. And Atlanta beat Jacob deGrom, a shocking turn of events yesterday, as they say, because Jacob deGrom gave up the most earned runs in this whole year. He gave up 3 first-inning runs, and that's unbelievable to me. But the Atlanta Braves are 3.5 back, Philadelphia 4.5 back, still in it. And then, of course, Washington 2 back of the Mets, who have a tough time scoring on offense right now, and they're going to be in New York. We'll get to that game in a minute. New York, obviously big interleague series this weekend. And the game's not even on a Fox tomorrow. I can't believe that the Yankees game's not on Fox tomorrow. But the sign of the times, I guess.
They are on Sunday Night Baseball.
They are on Sunday Night Baseball. They'll never miss that, of course. Philadelphia 118 with Zach Wheeler, Chris Paddock. Padres got walked off last night. Milwaukee, the hottest team in baseball. At Pittsburgh, Adrian Hauser, JT Brubaker, the best pitcher for the Pirates right now. Don't underestimate the Pirates when Brubaker's on the mound. Dodgers favored against Max Scherzer in Washington tonight with Julio Urias. Max Scherzer, 8 the total there. Cincinnati walked off San Diego, as we said. They got the Cubs, who are ice cold right now. Chicago has lost 6 in a row. Sonny Gray goes against Alec Mills, 153, 9.5 the total. Hot and humid in Cincinnati, as Charlie always says, on July 4th weekend. So 9.5
is going to fly.
Yeah, 9.5 for the total for the Cubs and Reds. And then Atlanta with Drew Smyly and Pablo Lopez. Miami in last place, but that's not a very high line for Drew Smyly, considering they just come off 2 of 3 from the New York Mets, 114, 9 the total. Pablo Lopez, the best pitcher for the Marlins. He and Trevor Rogers have been it for the Marlins this year. From a pitching standpoint, offensively, they haven't done very much, but they're getting a little respect tonight in Atlanta for Drew Smyly, 114, 9.5. The rest of the NL schedule has Colorado. The St. Louis Cardinals are ice cold right now. You think Colorado would have helped them a little bit. They go 5-2 loss to the Rockies yesterday. Colorado even favored today with Chichi Gonzalez and Johan Oviedo going for St. Louis. Nolan Arenado, in his return, they had a nice tribute for him before the game. The game was delayed for a few minutes for a nice video, a nice tribute. He goes 0 for 4, and the Cardinals don't do anything in Colorado. Traditionally, they've had a good time. And the Giants have lost 4 in a row. They have Alex Wood, who's going tonight. He's been struggling his last 4 starts. He gets Zach Gallen, who last pitched against San Diego in San Diego on Sunday. 141 for the Giants, favored. 4 games in a row they've lost. The NL West is tightened up. Alex Wood and Zach Gallen going today. Charlie, the National League, on your takes.
Yeah, well, I'm excited about the Subway Series just because the Subway Series is fun. I mean, the city, the whole New York area goes nuts when that thing happens. One of these days we're going to get a World Series that's going to involve the subway, and then we'll all go crazy. I mean, we know what, being in Northern California, we know what it's meant when we had a Bay Bridge series, and we can't wait for it to happen again. Although we'll do it sans an earthquake. We don't need that again, but that'll be something that we'd like to have. But yeah, it's going to be a good weekend. I mean, the 4th of July almost is and you made a reference to it, is almost like another opening day for baseball, because everybody's paying attention to what's going on, because other things are dropping off, and now baseball gets to come into the spotlight. Hopefully it'll be a good spotlight. They're trying their best not to make it be that, but I think the players and the play will make things happen. What do
you like in the National League? What are you looking at? Some of the best series in the National League.
Well, I like this Dodgers I like this Dodgers Nationals series. I think that's an interesting one. I think that matchup of the pitchers is pretty good. And I think that'll be a good one. I'm also kind of watching that Astros Indians series just because it's, even though it's an interleague deal, I'm interested to see whether Cleveland or not can bounce back in that. Houston's not been playing great, although they got, they did really well last night. Altuve had a big slam in that thing last night. But I'm interested to see whether Cleveland can get back into things. Cleveland's been falling back after looking really well, and they need to do well. So it'll be interesting to see whether they can do that against an Astros team that's not doing well. I'm interested to see what the Braves can do against the Marlins. The Braves have all of a sudden been going, hey, we're here, and they're kind of out there. But the Marlins, and you mentioned it, even though the Marlins are in last place, they're not in last place by that much. And they've got a plus 21 run differential. So they're a viable team. And so it'll be interesting to see what they do in that series as well. I'll be watching that one. St. Louis and Colorado. What is up with St. Louis?
Yeah, I don't know. They're 9 games back. They're 4 out of the last 10, minus 45 in the run differential. They're under 500, and they're losing games right now that they probably shouldn't lose. They lost 3 out of 4 to Pittsburgh last weekend. That doesn't help when you've got a team in the National League Central that has won 9 in a row and has increased their lead by 6 games on the Cubs and the Reds. The Reds have 5-5 in their last 10. Cubs are minus 2 in run differential. The Reds got the walk-off last night, so they're on a 1-game winning streak. They get San Diego tonight as well. I'm sorry, they get Cincinnati. They get Chicago, so it's kind of a big division matchup right there because they're all fighting for that one of the 2 wild card spots right now. And right now would be the Dodgers and San Diego as the 2 wild cards with this losing streak by the Cubs and the Reds. A week ago, we were talking about the Brewers coming into the week tied with the Cubs for first place, and either one of them was going to get the wild card and the other was going to win the division, and Cincinnati was only 2 back. But Milwaukee, granted, they've had some teams that they can beat with Arizona and Pittsburgh this weekend, but the fact that they won 9 in a row, that's still hard to do in baseball, and they're plus 35 in the run differential. Their pitching's done real well. Josh Hader's been great in the bullpen, and their starting pitching has been great with Burns and Woodruff, Freddie Peralta. Their ERAs are all about 2.5 or below. And you're going to win with that, even though your team offense coming into the week was only hitting 210. That's gone up a little bit against Arizona and Pittsburgh this week. I'll be interested in the Philadelphia-San Diego series, as I said. San Diego right there in the NL West. Philadelphia only 4.5 back in the National League East. Milwaukee-Pittsburgh, obviously, this 9-game winning streak has put them in the forefront. Their second best record in the National League right now at 49 wins behind the Giants and the Dodgers, who both have 50. And the Padres are tied with them at 49 wins. And then Washington Dodgers, of course, I'm a Dodgers fan, but they're right there, half a game back of the Giants. And Max Scherzer an underdog at home, so I'll be interested to see how that goes. And Cincinnati, you can never figure out which Cincinnati team you're going to get from one weekend to the next. So, and you know that better than anybody, Charlie. And then Atlanta and Miami. Obviously, Miami trying to get back in at only 8 games back. And then Colorado, St. Louis. Colorado plays well at home. They're close to 500 at home, and they give some teams a rough time. And how about the Giants here in Northern California where we are? They've lost 4 in a row, 3 in a row. The last game of the series last weekend, the 2 games to the Dodgers in L.A., and now losing 5-3 to kind of a, really a rough Arizona team, but give Arizona credit. They pitched well last night. Merrill Kelly has been pitched probably as well as anybody for Arizona in that series, Charlie. As far as the rest of the National League, let's keep it in the National League before we get to the American League.
Yeah, and I'm interested in this Giants Diamondbacks series. Not that I think it's going to be great baseball, but I'm interested to watch it to see what the Giants do. And Vasu, you know this because being a Northern California guy and being a Dodgers fan and always watching what the Giants are doing, the Giants do not traditionally play well against the Diamondbacks in Arizona. It's kind of like they go in there and it's like the A's going to Texas. The A's go to Texas and it's like they lose their minds. It's like, are we supposed to play baseball? Well, it's the same thing with the Giants going to Phoenix. They get in that ballpark and it's like, oh, it's got a roof on it. There's a swimming pool. I mean, seriously, it's kind of like they lose their minds. And this is not a time for them to do that because we have, as a show, been waiting for this to happen to the Giants all season long. Because we have, not just us, everybody in baseball has been going, who are these guys and how are they playing this kind of baseball? And we have been waiting for them literally to drop 2 places behind the Dodgers and the Padres because we just haven't seen what they have on the field as being sustainable to keep them in first place and playing with the best record in baseball. So I think this weekend is pivotal for them. They can't go in there and, lose 3 out of 4 games to the Diamondbacks. That would be devastating to them and start to put them in the kind of slide that they cannot have. They did not have a June swoon, which has been a tradition for that ball club.
A tradition unlike any other.
Exactly. Really. They historically have had a June swoon that dates back for seasons after seasons. I don't know what we'd call it in July, but this is a critical weekend for them. I really believe that.
No doubt. So it'll be interesting to see. All the games in the National League seem to matter quite a bit as I look at the divisions. Mets, Washington, Atlanta, Philadelphia, Milwaukee, Chicago, Cincinnati, St. Louis, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and San Diego, all vying for playoff spots and division titles. In the American League, I'll be interested to see how Toronto and Tampa Bay, surprising Tampa Bay, Toronto 121-10 over Tampa Bay. It's a bullpen game for the Rays tonight. They've lost 3 in a row. They're 3.5 back of the very hot Boston Red Sox who come into Oakland this weekend. They're going to be in Oakland. They got Eduardo Rodriguez going up against Frankie Montas. Boston a slight favorite, 8.5. Seattle Mariners have won 2 in a row. They beat the Blue Jays again yesterday afternoon, 7-2. They've got Logan Gilbert, their high-priced prospect, going up against Kyle Gibson. Kyle Gibson's 6-0 this year for the Texas Rangers, by the way, in case anybody has not seen that. He's been one of the key pieces. And like I said yesterday on our show, Joey Gallo would look good in somebody else's outfield. Kyle Gibson, and Kyle Gibson, 2 home runs yesterday for Joey Gallo, or 3 runs driven in. The 2 home runs in the series, in the 4-game series that they split with the A's. They're going up to Seattle. He hits well in Seattle. Kyle Gibson would look good on somebody's mound as well, too. Those are the later games. The early games, Tampa Bay trying to stay pace with Boston right now. They've got 47 wins. They're 3.5 back. Toronto has lost 2 in a row to Seattle. They've got Alex Manoah, hot young rookie. He's favored tonight against Tampa. You wouldn't think that Tampa would be an underdog even in Buffalo, but they are. And Alex Manoah has been pitched well for Toronto. Houston 174. Charlie talked about it. Lance McCullers been a stalwart for them against Sam Hentges. 174-9 the total. The White Sox at Detroit. Now, don't underestimate the Detroit Tigers. They've won 7 out of the last 10. They've won 2 in a row. They're still minus 69 in the run differential, but they are 9 games under 500, 36-45, and we didn't think they were going to get past 60 wins this year, and they're well on their way to 65, 70 wins. They've got some good pitching. Casey Mize, their young prospect, going tonight against Lance Lynn. That's going to be a good matchup. Casey Mize, Matt Manning, and Matthew Boyd, the three best things right now. They've got three good starters. If they can get any offense on the days that these guys start, it's going to be a tall task to stop the White Sox this weekend, but they can really put a dent and help Cleveland's chances at home this weekend. And Detroit fans have followed that team for years, have really struggled with that team for years. But right now they've got some arms that are going to keep them engaged for the next 5 to 10 years if Casey Mize and Matt Manning develop the way they're looking to develop right now. Kansas City, Minnesota. Kansas City has lost 9 in a row. They got beat up by Boston, Minnesota. Rocco Baldelli watch on for Charlie. I know. 113-10 the total. Jay Happ might be on somebody's radar as far as a trade deadline. And then the Angels, they didn't play yesterday. They got postponed against the Yankees. So Griffin Canning, who's got a good arm, they're going to play the Orioles. The Orioles have won 3 in a row, including 2 against the Astros. So they're nobody to take lightly. Keegan Aiken, one of their high top prospects, but they're 27-54, minus 109 run differential. Ohtani back in the lineup tonight. Griffin Canning. I can see the Angels at 173 being a pretty good bet tonight if they can swing the bats, because we know that they can go cold. And then, like we said, Boston, Oakland, the big series of the weekend. One of the 3 games on Fox tomorrow night. And then Seattle, Texas. Seattle still trying to stay in it at 6 games back, and the Angels at 9 games back. Charlie, you said Houston and Cleveland, other American League games. Obviously, Boston, Oakland, the other big series in the this weekend coming up for the July 4th weekend.
Yeah, one of my colleagues is a huge Boston fan. He's going to be at 2 of the games in Oakland. Really excited about that. But I think this is a big series for, Boston playing well, so I think they feel confident. But I think this is a big series for Oakland. Oakland, Houston's not been going well, and this is a series that the A's need to do well in, because the A's have been staying half game back, and they need to punch back through and get back into that number 1 position. I don't think this is the season where the A's want to have to do the wild card thing, because remember, we're back into that wild card thing where it's one and done again this season. Now, I think this is the final year that we'll ever have to do that again. But they don't traditionally do well in those situations. So I think they want to get through that. But they've got a tough task this weekend against a Boston team that is on fire. What they win? That last game was 15-2.
15-1. They've won 7 in a row. They've got the best record in baseball now. They're at 51 wins. The Giants and the Dodgers have 50, and everybody else is 49 or below, considering where they are. But all the games this weekend, Charlie, are all going to matter between the Red Sox and the A's. Red Sox trying to keep pace ahead of Tampa Bay, Toronto, and New York. And then all the division races have come up. We're at July 4th. We're almost at the official halfway point of the season for a lot of teams. As I'm looking at it, everybody's at 81 or 82 games right now in the season. So we're at the halfway point, even though the All-Star break isn't until a week from Sunday night, when the All-Star festivities will be going on in Colorado. So very interesting. And then tonight, I'll be interested to see how the Mets offense is, because the Mets offense has struggled all year, but their pitching has been really good. Taijuan Walker has an ERA under 2 at home. His ERA is only about 2.5 to begin with overall. Yankees have struggled. We saw what they did against the Angels in that bullpen. Jordan Montgomery, 8.5 might be high, because I'm not sure the Yankees can hit Taijuan Walker tonight, but it's going to be a good series. Obviously tonight, tomorrow morning, it's going to be Garrett Cole and Marcus Stroman. And then on Sunday Night Baseball, they'll be the featured game on Sunday Night Baseball. But a lot of good baseball this weekend, Charlotte. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we'll have a lot of fun with it as well. As we come back on Monday, we'll be able to talk how the weekend went now that we start the official second half of the baseball season. All right, we're going to wrap it up with our unfeathered, famous, worldwide, unsponsored picks of the segment. We'll be back in 30 seconds. We'll talk a little hockey too. This is the Make the Money and Run podcast. Hope you're enjoying your 4th of July weekend early if you can. If not, you'll have 3 days to enjoy starting tomorrow. Back in 30 with the Make the Money and Run podcast. Charlie O. Vasu here with you. Make the Money and Run podcast, back with you for the pick segment of the show, the worldwide famous unsponsored pick segment, second half of the year now. There's got to be some money flowing out there from some of you sponsors. Let's go. Let's get into it. We need some of that money. We need some of the unsponsored. We need some of the untethered picks that we have right now for Make the Money and Run. So anybody out there want a sponsorship, feel free to contact us at MTMAR Podcast on Twitter, MTMAR Podcast at gmail.com. And of course, our social media pages. We're here Monday, Thursdays, Fridays. Thanks to everybody on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. If you miss any of it, including this pick segment, feel free to download, subscribe, rate, and review anywhere you see that logo on any podcasting outlet you get. All right, let's talk a little NHL. I don't have any notes for the NHL, but Tampa Bay going to start Game 3 tonight. They're $1.35 favorite. The total is 5 in Montreal with Tampa Bay. The backline defense for Tampa Bay has been great. Kucherov, who was injured against the Islanders, didn't play in 2 of the games. Ended up playing Game 7. That was the difference in Game 7 in a 1-0 victory last week. Montreal upset Las Vegas. Obviously, they're not going to be taken lightly now based on the fact that they upset the team that was favored coming into the Final Four. They're up 2-0. Montreal might get if they get Game 3 tonight, that sets up a really interesting Game 4 on Sunday night. But Tampa Bay is favored, Charlie. So Kucherov back. Vasilevsky playing great in goal. Their back line has been outstanding. They're out shooting the Canadians nearly 2-1 on shots on goal. And Carey Price has been great, standing on his head and doing everything he can to get them past Vegas. I think maybe it might be a little too much right now for Tampa Bay to stop them.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we've talked about it before. It's kind of a miracle that the Habs are in the Stanley Cup. For all of our friends north of the border, I wish the news were better. I don't think that it is. But Vasu, this is kind of the match tonight. If Montreal's going to get one, I think this is it. And this I think, I'm not telling them anything they don't know. Geez Louise. So if I were going to wager on this game, and folks, let me tell you, I am so out of the hockey loop. I used to cover the Sharks. I did for years, and I've been out of the hockey loop, good Lord, for a good decade. Okay. I still watch it once in a while just because I love to watch it, but I've been out of the reporting loop for a long time. But if I were going to play this match tonight, I would go the dog, because I think that this is the one that they could win, because they know if they're going to stay alive, this is it. They lose tonight, it's really bad. It's really bad. Down 3-0. It's not good. So I think this is the one they could win tonight.
It'll be interesting to see 8:00 on NBC tonight as it comes back on the network. Game 3 tonight, Game 4 Sunday night on NBC as well, both at 8:00. And then if Montreal can get one, Game 5 will be on Tuesday night. But we don't expect it to go past 5 games. I think Tampa Bay has proven that they're a good team. If Vegas was here, I don't know. Their goaltending for Vegas was kind of down. So the fact that Montreal got by them, I don't know if they would have had the same effect on Tampa that Montreal is not having on them as well right now. I think Tampa Bay was the team to beat, even though they were the second lowest money line price to win the Stanley Cup. So Tampa Bay with a 2-0 series lead. We'll give you an update on Monday as the series goes. It could be over by Sunday night, as far as we know. We could have a Stanley Cup champion on Monday as well. So Tampa Bay, Montreal, 8:00 tonight on NBC. All right, our world famous unsponsored pick segment, sponsored by nobody, listened by everybody, and actually we've been pretty good lately. So I'm going to let Charlie take it from here. Go ahead, Charlie.
Okay, so we're going to. You got your picks up.
No, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it with this pie hole.
Oh, okay. All right. So we're going to start off with my picks. I've got St. Louis and Colorado. I am going to take the over 12.5 in this game. You got 2 pitchers here tonight going on. Oviedo, he's got a 5.23 ERA. And then you've got Chichi Gonzalez, who has a 5.81 ERA. You're in Colorado in a summer night. Okay. Can you say, gone? This to me was my easiest pick of the day. Come on, really? That's an over for me. White Sox, Detroit. I labored on this one a little, just because Detroit does play well at home, but the White Sox are so hot that I'm going to take Chicago minus the 1.5, and then the Orioles at the Angels. I'm going to take the over 8.5. You know what? I'm riding the Ohtani train here. I really am. And I got to, Vasu, I know we don't have enough time to really get into this, and so I'm not going to do it now, but I'd like to hit it sometime next week. We need to look at the odds for MVPs, and we can just do it in both leagues. But man, if this guy keeps going the way he is, and I don't want to hear, well, we'll give him the Cy Young and give somebody else the MVP. This guy is a phenomenon.
No doubt.
But he's home runs, triples, stealing bases, doing everything else. So I'm going to ride Ohtani and take the over 8.5.
No doubt. And in fact that he's faster than a lot of people think. And his pitching, he's still coming around on the pitching. He had a bad start the other night against the Yankees, so I don't think he'll be in Cy Young contention, but he'll definitely be in the MVP race. And we'll look at that MVP odds. Vladimir Guerrero, one of the candidates as well, too, as he's vying for a triple crown as well. All right, my picks. I don't have a graphic for it, so no fancy stuff for the 4th of July. No fireworks for the picks this weekend. There's just good, solid picks. There you go. Good, solid picks for the weekend. I'm going to go with Zach Wheeler tonight and the Philadelphia Phillies. They're about a $1.17 favorite. Chris Paddock and the Padres, they lost in Cincinnati last night. Paddock been the weak pitcher on that staff, and I think Philadelphia at home will find a way to get it done. Zach Wheeler's been outstanding, 6-4 with a 2.20 ERA, and the games that he's lost have been games that he's lost 2-1, 1-0, and I think Philadelphia at home will score some points. I'm going to take the under in the Mets and Yankees game, under 8.5. Taijuan Walker has pitched outstanding. He's still in New York. It's not his home ballpark where he's under 2 with an ERA, but it is in New York, and Jordan Montgomery can get hit around a little bit, and the Mets will probably – their offense has struggled. They struggled in Atlanta against that terrible pitching staff yesterday. They couldn't even get 4 runs for DeGrom to get him a win yesterday. Jacob DeGrom has allowed 1 bad start a year apparently for him. He didn't get the loss yesterday, but he gave up 3 runs, the most runs he's given up all year. Just give that guy the Cy Young right now. And then I'm going to go with the Milwaukee Brewers. I'm going to take that back. I'm not going to take the Brewers tonight. I'm going to go with the Cincinnati Reds and Sonny Gray, 153 with the Reds tonight. Sonny Gray, the Reds are playing well. The Cubs have lost 6 in a row. This is a bad spot for the Cubs. This is not one of their better pitchers coming into the series. Charlie knows how that ballpark will play, and Alec Mills has not had any success in Cincinnati. And then I'm going to go with the Boston Red Sox tonight. Eduardo Rodriguez pitched really well at Boston against the Yankees last Sunday. He's got an Oakland A's team that's split with the Texas Rangers. This is a weak link for the Oakland A's with Frankie Montas going tonight, and I just got a feeling the Red Sox, a 7-game winning streak. Bats are going well. Oakland is not going to be that cold tonight, and they'll be fine handling the weather tonight. I think the Red Sox are going to win tonight. And then I'm going to go with the Seattle Mariners, who've won 2 in a row. They beat Toronto in Buffalo. They've got the Rangers coming in. I know the Rangers split with Oakland, as I just said, but I think the Seattle Mariners are going to take the Texas Rangers tonight behind their young phenom, Logan Gilbert, 2-2, 4.25. Kyle Gibson is 6-0 with a 2 ERA, but I think today he gets his first loss against the Mariners. And then on Saturday night, I'm going to go with the Milwaukee Bucks. The line came out, plus 2.5. I think the secondary players are better for Milwaukee than they are for Atlanta, assuming Trae Young and Giannis do not play on Saturday night. I like the way Milwaukee played yesterday with Lopez and Middleton. Drew Holiday, even P.J. Tucker contributed with 11 rebounds. Neither bench has done anything this entire series except for Gallinari, and Kevin Huerter has not played well the last 2 games, and he's a big key. John Collins also as well. So that's the picks for the weekend. We'll have picks online Saturday and Sunday for you. Don't forget, on Sunday, July 4th, the Nationals will start their game at 8 o'clock on the West Coast with the Dodgers. Good luck getting up early for that one if you're on the West Coast. Bagels and
baseball, baby. Bagels and baseball.
Bagels and baseball on Sunday. So those are some of the – we gave you all the matchups for the weekend. We gave you all the baseball. The NBA is all set up. The NHL all set up. Gave you some notes to look at to make the money and run. We appreciate everybody joining us on this Friday, July 4th weekend. Have a great July 4th weekend, Charlie, as well to you and everybody else out there on podcast land, both viewing and listening. Don't forget you can download and subscribe if you miss any of this podcast on Facebook and YouTube at Apple, Spotify, iHeart, Google, SoundCloud. Anywhere you get your podcast, you just look for that logo, subscribe, rate, and review. We really appreciate it. All right, that's going to do it for us. Vasu, Vaddiparty, Charlie O, the Make the Money and Run podcast for July 2nd, 2021. We will be back at 3 Eastern on Monday, July 5th with a show. First games don't start till 6 o'clock that night, so we'll have a show at noon Pacific time, 3 Eastern on Monday. Have a great weekend. Have a safe July 4th weekend, and we will see you on Monday at 3 o'clock Eastern right here on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. Have a great 4th of July. Bye-bye, everybody.